Good afternoon. On behalf of Pulaski Foundation, it is my honor to introduce you to Mr. Arseniy Yatsenyuk, who has just joined our conference. Mr. Yatsenyuk is the former Prime Minister of Ukraine and the founder of Open Ukraine Foundation. Mr. Yatsenyuk will present his remarks on Ukraine. May you please join me?
It's really a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Best regards from Kyiv Security Forum, which I am a chair of. As far as I see, the more security forums we have, the less security we have in the world. But let's try to tackle this. The best way to build up security is to build our defense capabilities. I am here to defend the Ukrainian case, to defend my country, to defend what has been done in Ukraine, to defend the past, and to fight for the future of Ukraine. I have to remind you what has happened in Europe, and mainly in my country, in the last 5 years. Because, we have plenty of different developments in the world, but I want to reiterate once again that I am more focused on the future and on the destiny of my country. Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia illegally annexed Crimea. Russia made a land grab when they occupied Donetsk and Lugansk. Ukraine faced an enormous economic crisis of 2014 and 2015. The death toll due to the Russian aggression is around 13,000 people. We have around 1.8 million of IDPs, of internally displaced persons. We were practically out of our defense capabilities. Ukraine didn't have a real army to fight against one of the strongest armies in the world, which is the Russian one. But despite all of this, we managed to survive. Ukraine is on its track to success. The key priority for Ukraine is to restore its territorial integrity and independence. We passed a number of consecutive free and fair democratic elections. As for today, we have the new president, the new government, and so-called mono coalition, practically the same as you have in Poland, with enormous chances. The new president solidified the power, and he has everything in his hands to make a success case for my country. What kind of priorities I believe that the new president is having? Practically, he has two key goals. The first one is to restore territorial integrity of Ukraine, to make Donetsk, Lugansk, and Crimea back. The second one is to improve Ukrainian economy and to provide an economic growth for Ukraine. Let me start with the security challenges. And having the chance to address this forum, I want to address my president. Mr. President, don't fall into the Russian trap with all these different types of formulas and Russian interpretation of the Minsk deal. The formulas, they are usually and regularly for the chemistry, but not for the politics. Solutions, that's what is needed for politicians and for real politics. There are a number of different interpretations of this so-called Minsk process. But there is no doubt that there are key preconditions how to have free and fair and democratic local elections in Donetsk and Lugansk. And the key precondition is to get rid of the Russian military, which is stationed in Donetsk and Lugansk. The key precondition is to take over the control of the Ukrainian-Russian border. Because as for today, a number of folks try to deliberate over the modalities of free and fair elections in Donetsk and Lugansk. I can hardly imagine. How can we handle free and fair elections under the barrel of the Russian arms and under the barrel of the Russian guns? No doubt that the Minsk deal is not the best one, but there is nothing else on the table. So we urge Ukrainian president and Ukrainian government to be very firm, to be very decisive, and to defend Ukrainian interests. Nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. This is to be his key priority. And I strongly believe that the president fully understands his responsibility, and the president will do his best in order to protect and to defend Ukraine, in order to protect and to defend the oath of the office that he gave a few months ago. In terms of economic perspectives of Ukraine, I strongly believe that the new government inherited a strong and solid base. We managed to overcome one of the deepest financial crises in the history of Ukraine. The only recipe that I could recommend to the new government and to the new president is as follows. If you want to have an economic success, it's completely contrary to the bread and butter populism. Don't care, guys, about your ratings. Ratings is a very temporary thing. They go up and then they definitely will go down, no doubt. You have to take care about the future, about your legacy. What will you leave after you leave the office? And this time will come. We expect that the new government will unfold a strong and bold economic agenda. As for today, there is no other option rather than to have the deal with the IMF. And the deal with IMF is not just the deal. The deal with the IMF is whether you are ready to implement what is needed for the Ukrainian economy. So, vast and broad economic reforms, with the majority in the House that the new government have, is the best recipe. So, the IMF deal, land reform, prudent fiscal and budgetary policy, and get rid of pre-election populism. That's what's on the table for the new government and for the new president. Having the chance to address this conference in Poland, I want to focus on our bilateral relations with Poland. We believe that our relations are improving. And I want to reiterate once again that Poland is a very close friend to the Ukraine and to the Ukrainian people. We can have some kind of misunderstandings, but we always need to be prudent and to stick to the wisdom. The history of our bilateral relations clearly shows that we can turn the page and that we can overcome any kind of discrepancy. The more we are united together with our Polish friends, the stronger we are, both of us. I can commend the efforts of the Polish government to increase security, both in Poland and in Europe. And these joint efforts made by the United States and by the Polish government to increase and to enhance security is a good sign, both for the European Union and even for Ukraine. We are facing tremendous challenges in the world, and I believe that during this conference you discussed all this stuff, starting with the Brexit and ending with the new European Parliament, new European Commission, some tensions between the European Union and the United States, trade wars and ongoing trade wars, and we as the state of Ukraine even feel repercussions of these trade wars too. And it's important for us to be on positive side, to act boldly and wisely. It is important for the European Union, for the new European Parliament and for the new European Commission to be very, very ambitious. Ambitious in terms of EU enlargement, ambitious in terms of giving Ukraine EU membership perspective. This is a win-win case for both of us. To be ambitious for NATO, to provide everything possible in order to make Ukraine a member of NATO. This is a win-win story too. In this contemporary world, I can tell you for sure that the only solution for the problems we are facing is very strong unity. Unity inside the European Union, transatlantic unity. And we need to have guts to resolve the problems, to fight against the aggressor, and in Ukrainian particular case, and not only in Ukrainian, but in the global case, the key aggressor is the Russian Federation and Putin's regime, and to move every single day, step by step, towards success of Ukraine, towards success of the European Union, towards success of the United States, and towards success of the free world. The stronger free world, the weaker dictators that sit in Kremlin are. So this is the formula. I am very optimistic about the Ukrainian case. I strongly believe that we will find the solutions to all the challenges we are facing. And I strongly believe that the relations between Ukraine and the European Union will flourish, and that this is the only way how both Ukraine and the European Union can develop. Thank you.